Yo, what's up, man?
Thinking about enrolling in Medicare Advantage? Humana may have a plan that's right for you. There are
The subject of my talk tonight is about something that is smarter than you are. Artificial intelligence. In fact, a lot of people that work in artificial intelligence believe that artificial intelligence is 1,000 times smarter than we are. It will be moving at speeds that are 100,000 times as fast as we think, and it will be digesting information and data 1,000,000 times more than we can. What is artificial intelligence? There are a lot of confused ideas about this outside in the world. But the answer is very simple. It's one sentence. Artificial intelligence is software that writes itself. It writes its own updates. It renews itself. We normally tend to think of software as stuff that we created and that we wrote, and the machines do what we tell them to do, and we own it. This is not any longer true. It writes itself at speeds that we can hardly comprehend, and people who write it know that you can't take it apart again and figure out what it's done. It writes independently, autonomously. It develops its own way of thinking, and there are dangers associated with that. So a lot of people ask, when is it going to happen? When is artificial intelligence going to be smarter than us people? Some people say 50 years. Some say 30 years. Some say 5 years. I say it already has surpassed us in many areas of our society. Let's take, for example, some examples from right here and now, and I apparently have to point this goes. Okay. The examples that we're going to talk about are not science fiction. They're not visions. They aren't things that are going to happen at some point. They're things that exist today, for example, in the stock markets, whether Frankfurt or Tokyo or New York or London. The people you see down there working on your TV show and you're watching it, they're more or less extras in a movie. They aren't doing the big moving. The big moving is being done by high-frequency computers. They move so fast they make, in milliseconds, billion-dollar business. Computers have far succeeded what we can do. In fact, I did a film once about a company that moved 5 blocks closer to the Frankfurt stock market because at the speed of light on glass cable, they saved so much time getting closer to the computers at the Frankfurter Stock Exchange. That will give you an idea of how fast they think and how helpless we as human beings are. You may remember the old pictures of the stockbrokers with 5 telephones in each hand, running back and forth, writing things on paper. That was way before yesterday. Computers have taken over this very, very important part of our society, a heart of our financial community. And no one understands exactly how these algorithms function. They used to understand them, but they've been improved by artificial intelligence. I don't know how many people flew in today, but if you were sitting in an airplane, you probably had 30 different tariffs and prices in your cabin because the pricing is all done, same is true of hotels, by machines that are collecting global information, making decisions within split seconds what the price of that airplane seat or that hotel room is going to be. And where it's most critical of all, we're talking about life and death, is in medicine. Computers are better than we are as human beings in several areas already today. We're talking about here and now. This is not science fiction. I'm speaking next week at the Universitätsklinikum in Essen. And their radiologists, who are supposed to be some of the best radiologists in Germany, they say that a computer can recognize a tumor on an MT or on a CT, MRT or CT, faster and better and more precisely than a human being can. It's picture analysis, and it's done very well by computers, especially in medicine, where it saves lives. Now, the robots are getting better and better. They're looking cute. They have these big baby eyes, the sweet way of looking at you. They can examine your facial expression and adjust theirs. But don't be fooled by robots. Even when they get warm skin and even when they get perfume and they start smelling like us and getting really interesting, they are still machines. They have no warm blood in them. There's no sex in them. They have no mortality. They're cold code lines. And they shouldn't be misunderstood. Now, I want you to understand what the power of artificial intelligence is. And I have two examples. One is surveillance cameras. Everybody knows, that we're being watched by cameras everywhere. And most people think surveillance is a camera there and it's me down here and it's watching me. One person, one camera. Well, that's because we're stupid. That's the way we comprehend the surveillance. One camera, one person. We can't comprehend it when it goes beyond that.
This image was taken 17,500 feet above Quantico, Virginia, and covers 15 square miles.
This whole image is at a very, very fine resolution. So if we wanted to know what is going on in any spot along this image, say near this building at this intersection, everything that is a moving object is being automatically tracked. The color boxes represent that the computer has recognized the moving objects. You can see individuals crossing the street. You can see individuals walking in parking lots. There's actually enough resolution to be able to see the people waving their arms or walking around, what kind of clothes they wear.
Unlike the Predator camera that limits field of view, Argus melds together video from each of its 368 chips to create a 1.8 billion pixel video stream. This makes it possible to zoom in and still see tremendous detail.
And produces 1 million terabytes every day. That's a lot of data. And I'm telling you this because not that the sensors are modern and not that the photography is modern. Behind that is a brain or a cognitive intelligence. And that brain is in a position to analyze everybody down there. At the same time, in real time, they see where everyone is going. We can understand it when we reduce it to a single person, but we cannot understand it when you're talking about 100,000 people in the city, plus the vehicles, which are all recognized. Due to such systems, they have also redone facial recognition. You probably think facial recognition is from the front. But they've redone to do it from the top because that's where the drones are. And they look at your ears, they look at the way you walk, they look at your head. That's modern facial recognition. So that's one idea. As a human being, we think of one camera and one person. This is a little of their things. That it's taking all the details, all the amusing objects, and they record it so they can tell where that person was 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, what stores he visited, what his whole behavioral patterns are. That's all part of the analysis of Argus. These are called tennis balls in military and intelligence circles. It's a new secret analysis. And they record but one camera and that's where the drones are. Due to such a single person, but we cannot understand it when you're talking about.
So if we want.
Yeah, and covers.
Or one person, we can't comprehend it when it goes beyond that.
This image was taken 17,500 feet above Quantico, Virginia, and covers 15 square miles.
This whole image is at a very, very fine resolution. So if we wanted to know what is going on in any spot along this image, say near this building at this intersection, everything that is a moving object is being automatically tracked. The color boxes represent that the computer has recognized the moving objects. You can see individuals crossing the street. You can see individuals walking in parking lots. There's actually enough resolution to be able to see the people waving their arms or walking around, what kind of clothes they wear.
Unlike the Predator camera that limits field of view, Argus melds together video from each of its 368 chips.
Assassin's Creed Origins. Watch the world premiere launch trailer on YouTube.
This is the next generation of surveillance. For the first time, we actually have permission from the government to show the basic capabilities. It is important for the public to know that some of these capabilities exist.
Engineer Yanis Antoniadis designed the new sensor, known as Argus. With 1.8 billion pixels, it's the world's highest resolution camera. Argus fits inside this pod that attaches to the belly of a UAV. But because much of the work is classified, we can't see the sensor itself.
Because we are not allowed to expose some of the pieces that make up the sensors, so you get to look at pretty plastic curtains.
Also known as Wide Area Persistent Stare, Argus is the equivalent of having up to 100 predators look at an area the size of a medium-sized city at once. This image was taken 17,500 feet above Quantico, Virginia, and covers 15 square miles.
This whole image is at a very, very fine resolution. So if we wanted to know what is going on in any spot along this image, say near this building at this intersection, we can generate a moving image that shows what's going on in the area.
Simply by touching the screen, Antoniadis has opened up a window showing a detailed area, while still maintaining the broader context.
And everything that is a moving object is being automatically tracked. The color boxes represent that the computer has recognized the moving objects. You can see individuals crossing the street. You can see individuals walking in parking lots. There's actually enough resolution to be able to see the people waving their arms or walking around, what kind of clothes they wear. And you could pick the location of where you produce these images anywhere in the entire field of view.
Antoniadis can open up to 65 windows at once and can see objects as small as 6 inches on the ground.
From even 17,500 feet, the white thing that you see flying around is Earth.
Argus streams live to the ground and also stores everything, 1 million terabytes of video a day, which is the equivalent of 5,000 hours of high-definition footage.
So you can go back and say, I would like to see what happened at this particular location 3 days, 2 hours, 4 minutes ago, and it would actually show you exactly what happened as if you were watching it live.
To create the world's highest definition camera, Antoniadis needed to design a new imaging chip. But DARPA, the project's funder, wanted to move fast and keep costs down. So he borrowed technology that most people have in their pockets.
Inside this cell phone, we find a tiny little camera. So if you were to take off the majority of it, you'd be left with an imaging chip. If you were to take 368 of these and make a big mosaic out of them and start shooting images, now you have Argus.
Unlike the Predator camera that limits field of view, Argus melds together video from each of its 368 chips to create a 1.8 billion pixel video stream. This makes it possible to zoom in and still see tremendous detail. Whether Argus has been deployed in the field is classified.
I'm not at liberty to discuss plans with the government, but if we had our choice, we would like Argus to be over the same area 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's not very easily achievable with manned platforms. This is where UAVs come in, and they're absolutely the perfect platform.
Argus may be mounted on an armed UAV like the Predator, a long-range platform like the giant Global Hawk, or a development craft called the Solar Eagle that may someday stay aloft for years at a time.
The U.S. Air Force right now has the ability to archive every single video that comes off of every single UAV. We're moving to an increasingly electronic society where our movements are going to be tracked.
Last year, Uber in 90 Seconds hosted a short film festival across Australia and New Zealand, where a filmmaker won the $10,000 first prize. The Uber in 90 Seconds Short Film Festival is now coming to the United States, where
This is the next generation of surveillance. For the first time, we actually have permission from the government to show the basic capability.
Yeah, good.
Thinking about enrolling in Medicare Advantage? Humana may have a plan that's right for you. There are
58 chips to create a 1.8 billion pixel video stream. This makes it possible to zoom in and still see tremendous detail.
And produces 1 million terabytes every day. That's a lot of data. And I'm telling you this because not that the sensors are modern and not that the photography is modern. Behind that is a brain or a cognitive intelligence. And that brain is in a position to analyze everybody down there. At the same time, in real time, they see where everyone is going. We can understand it when we reduce it to a single person, but we cannot understand it when you're talking about 100,000 people in the city, plus the vehicles, which are all recognized. Due to such systems, they have also redone facial recognition. You probably think facial recognition is from the front. But they've redone to do it from the top because that's where the drones are. And they look at your ears, they look at the way you walk, they look at your head. That's modern facial recognition. So that's one idea. As a human being, we think of one camera and one person. This is a little of their things. That it's taking all the details, all the music after, and they record it so they can tell where that person was 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, what stores he visited, what his whole behavioral patterns are. That's all part of the analysis of Argus. These are called tennis balls in military and intelligence circles. It's a new secretive sensoric thing. A cruise missile will fly into a valley in Afghanistan, and this is especially important because the troops have left many of these areas, and it will drop literally thousands of these sensor packages, or these tennis balls. They're all packed in foam rubber. They record with cameras, they record with microphones, they record with seismic measurements, they record with Geiger counters, they record with chemical sensors that can look for chemical things. That's not the amazing part of it, and it's not the amazing part that they have a little signal that goes over here to the transmitter goes up to the satellite. Old technology, nothing special. But the special part of it is, behind that system, there's a fusion software that can combine the audio and the visual and the seismic and the chemical, all of these signals, and make sense of them and analyze on the ground what kind of troop movements they are, what are the kinds of vehicles they're using, what are they transporting, is there radioactivity in that? It takes all of these different pieces of information and turns it through fusion software into an understandable picture, which goes way beyond our vision. Artificial intelligence only works if you have huge data masses. Artificial intelligence only works if you have big data. But big data only works if you have artificial intelligence to make sense of it, because human beings can no longer sort and sift and order the huge volumes of data that we have collected. And thus it is not surprising that the company that has the most information in the world, it's probably the most powerful country in the world, Google, is very interested in artificial intelligence and has been traveling around the world as a shopping queen, buying all the companies that are dealing with robotics. This is one of their robots. This is called Atlas. And they're buying artificial intelligence, all the artificial intelligence companies from around the world. From around the world.
At MakerBot, we believe there's an innovator in every
Android Incorporated is one of the largest companies that Google has purchased. Google made the acquisition for an estimated $50 million back in 2005. Android Incorporated wasn't very big at first, and then software was released in 2007 and is, by far, the most widely used smartphone OS in the world. YouTube. In October 2006, Google bought a year-old YouTube for $1.65 billion. YouTube allows registered users to upload videos onto their channels, where anyone can watch them. YouTube has supported advertising since 2007. The company takes 45% of advertising revenue and has earned around $9 billion last year. Applied Semantics. Google makes a purchase, not for the company itself, but also for its talent, which is often used to build out a new product or service. Founder Gil Elbaz and Applied Semantics web page scanning technology were integrated into Google to create AdSense, a product that allows advertisers to extend their search campaigns by placing text, display, or link ads on websites. DoubleClick. Google paid $3.1 billion to acquire the advertising software company DoubleClick in 2007 after a bidding war with Microsoft. The hefty price tag made it Google's most expensive acquisition at the time. In the years since, it has been instrumental in giving Google a bigger share in display advertising industry. In 2014 alone, Google's U.S. display revenue nearly equaled the entirety of its $3.1 billion acquisition price tag. Nest Labs. It is not a company that Google would eye on, but Google bought this company in early 2014 for $3.2 billion, which specializes in Wi-Fi connected thermostats and smoke detectors. The self-learning smartphone app can figure out what temperatures you like at what time of day, and will automatically heat or cool the room accordingly.
Looking to build your credit history while still in school? Apply now for the Self-Score MasterCard, the card designed.
Now this is, if you ask Google, it's a peaceful robot, right? He doesn't have a gun. He doesn't throw atomic bombs. You know, he just walks around and stands there. But you may have seen the superimposers DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. That is the research arm of the Pentagon. And then you see the video was made by Lockheed Martin, which is one of the most powerful and influential and richest weapons companies in the world. So why is the Pentagon investing this money? Why has Lockheed Martin taken over large aspects of the company? This guy's called Big Dog. He also belongs to Google, also DARPA financed. Peaceful dog, right? Unless he gets caught on a maneuver of the United States Marines as part of a military unit. So these are not flower children. These are robots that have a function, and robots that have a function and an intelligence, and perhaps an intelligence goes beyond us, are dangerous things. Now that's a Predator drone. It was taken at a secretive United States Air Force base in New Mexico. Predator drones, you've seen them, right? You've seen them on TV, you've seen them in the newspapers. They're old. They're 20 years old of technology. This is, I mean, it looks very scary when the Spiegel and the ARD write modern technology and the guys in the joystick and killing people and Taliban and in Afghanistan far away. But that's what a modern drone looks like. This is not a Predator, this is a Pegasus. It's an X-47B. It's owned by the Navy. It's a jet-powered machine, not like a propeller-driven Predator. It goes 2,000 miles into enemy territory. It carries 2,000 kilos worth of explosives and is run by artificial intelligence. It starts alone, flies its mission alone, comes back alone, and here's the clue, it lands all by itself on an aircraft carrier. Talk to any pilot you've ever met. What's the most difficult landing area you can possibly imagine? They say it's an aircraft carrier. Short runway, things moving, very hard. This thinking drone can do it. But here are the two keys to Pegasus. Pegasus is invisible. Now, I'm not talking about stealth and being invisible to radar. I'm talking about invisible to the human eye. And you won't find this in any newspaper anywhere. It's invisible to the human eye because the bottom has an LED layer on it, and the top has cameras, which have been removed here in the picture, which film the sky, and they project at the bottom a live picture of the clouds up above the aircraft, and you can hardly see it. And they're responsible for a lot of these UFO sightings in Nevada near the testing areas. Jet engine propulsion, a reach of, oops, this is German.
Hey, what up, guys?
Start landing all by itself. Stealth is optical stealth. You can't see it. And the kill decision, which is required by United States law to be made by human beings. Human beings must be in the loop before someone is killed by a drone, but it's in the machine. And it doesn't need people. It can decide by itself whether or not it kills somebody. And the experts say it's going to make less mistakes and less collateral damage than the human decisions. The kill decision in robots in the air, in robots on the ground, in robots in the water or underwater, where there are also drones, is made by, or can be made by machines. And in my book, I quote many official United States government documents which say, our goal is to have the kill decision made by them. The problem is, artificial intelligence, sometimes they make mistakes. This is Talon. He's an automatic cannon. I mean, they can, a lot of ammunition in that thing, and you can also put rockets on it. And it's in Iraq since 2007. At a demonstration with U.S. generals and experts, the damn thing got out of control and started pointing at the audience. And there was a Marine there, thank goodness, running across the field who tackled it like a football player and threw it on his side and probably prevented a couple hundred people from being killed. Now, this wasn't reason enough to take a lucrative contract away from the company that built it, and it wasn't enough to take the Talon out of Iraq. It's just sort of off-duty for a moment because, you know, there were some early stages of development, you know, that kind of problem. But don't underestimate artificial intelligence because it's getting better every day and it's going to scare us. And now I'm right at the right time where I say stop. Because I want to take a look now. This has all been here and now technology. Let's go to the future. Not far, just a little bit to the Internet of Things. To artificial intelligence as being spread out. It's not a central machine in a box where you can pull the plug. Artificial intelligence is networked like the Internet of Things. And part of it may be in a smart watch or a refrigerator or in a supercomputer. And the intelligence exists only by networking it together. If the supercomputer needs more computer power, it goes there and gets it out of the Internet. If the computer needs better programs, it goes there and gets those programs. And if it needs more information, more data, it goes there and gets more data. It sets up a spontaneous network for its needs, which collapses when it no longer needs it. It does this It does this without us. And you have to imagine, like, there are these intelligence nodes all over the place. And they're like drops of mercury on a glass table. They will find their way to each other. They will find their way together. Now, we have to be very careful because survival is an issue for artificial intelligence. It needs to exist to be able to do the things it wants to do according to its program. So it lays, like insect eggs, backups and computer programs all over the world, thousands and thousands of them, so that if we do destroy part of it, it's still alive. My job to you is the wake-up call to make you aware of the problem. Your job is to figure out how we're going to stop this before it kills us. Thank you.
Graduate in as few as 16 months, learning from full-time practicing nurse faculty in small classes. Integrate your education with your faith and Christian worldview.
Find your purpose online at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu.
Imagine this. You wake up in the morning and you take a breath of fresh air. And you smell bacon, eggs, toast, coffee, your favorite breakfast already made for you. And you didn't even have to get out of bed. So then you get up and you go into your kitchen and you indulge yourself. But as you're eating, a screen pops up with your day already planned out for you. And you didn't lift a finger. So then, as per your schedule, you get up and you head into your car. And as you open up the car door, you realize something. That there's actually not even any seats. In fact, there's not even a steering wheel. Just a couch for you to lay down on. So you do. As you lay down, the car takes off, already knowing where your work is without you having to say a thing. So as it's speeding along the road, you're talking to someone. Although you're not just talking to anyone, you're talking to a friend. The same friend that had made your breakfast this morning, planned your schedule, and is driving the car right now. And as you're talking to them through a computer. Although through isn't really the right word, because your friend is the actual computer. How about instead, picture this. It's dark. You can't see anything, and you're hiding from something. Whatever it is, it's outside, and it's attacking people, and you're not sure why. Why? Think. You remember now. Scientists, you saw in the news the other day, they created something. Although they didn't just create anything, they created a mind. A mind inside a computer. Scientists were ecstatic. It was working so well. Until it was working too well. It was so fast that it was ahead of us at every step of the way that we made to try and delete it. Soon it copied itself through every single computer on the planet. And it created an army to eradicate the human species. Now, these are two very possible futures when it comes to the idea of artificial intelligence. And when I say artificial intelligence, all I really mean is robots and stuff that we see all the time in Hollywood films. Except these robots would be more than just Hollywood, because it would be a reality. And the technology for it is much closer than you may think. As human beings, we think a lot, right? We do it all the time. In fact, I'm doing it while I speak right now. And when we think of thought, we're not sure really what it is. Because what is thought? Well, you may just think thought is something that our brain creates, right? But that's partly right, but not completely true. The thing that truly makes our thought is many smaller parts of the brain known as neurons. These neurons carry electrical signals throughout the mind. And once these connect, it forms the basis of thought. Humans have over 100 billion of them. However, recent studies by Michael Crossley, Kevin Stairs, and Kyoji Kemmons found that snails only have 2 neurons in their brains when making decisions. Each of these neurons is responsible for a specific brain process. One checks to see if it found food. And if it found food, then it then checks to see if it's hungry. This process looks a little something like this. Now, when I first saw this study, I was like, who cares, right? I mean, they're snails. We already knew that they didn't think much in the first place. But then something caught my attention for this study. The way that these snails think is actually very similar to a fundamental concept we have in programming, something known as an if condition. Where in programming, an if condition simply checks to see if a statement is found to be true. If it is, then it runs the block of code contained inside. Otherwise, it just skips over and moves along. So in the case of the snail, this would actually be really easy to program. If you found food, then if you are hungry, then eat. Simple, right? But then again, of course it's simple. Like I said before, it's just a snail. It doesn't think much. But I want to push this a bit further. If we think about human beings and snails, we both have neurons in our brain. In fact, they're exactly the same. So if we can program the neuron inside a snail's mind, then shouldn't we be able to program it in a human's mind? Now, that may seem much more difficult to answer.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy. Don't
really, then you gotta ask,
man.
what is it that makes us human beings? Well, one thing that we do all the time is that we break down information around us and understand what it is. Like, if I think of this, I am on a dot, this is a crowd, I can hear little noises from people, and I can feel the clothes against my skin. This type of idea has actually been done many, if not thousands of times within programming. In fact, we have one very good example of this known as Google Deep Dream. This program is able to break down images that it receives into its key components until it finds certain characters or aspects of it that look similar to something else that it has been trained on. And after finding these things, it enhances it. And you get some results like this. This is Starry Night by Van Gogh, or really Google Deep Dream's rendition on it. If you can see, Google Deep Dream actually found many aspects that look like a dog, and then made it much more apparent, as well as different eyes and people along the bottom. Other examples include this landscape here, and this very creepy background that I'm not too much of a fan of, but hey, it's computer art. It's subjective, right? Okay, so if we can break down information, what about learning from it, right? We learn all the time. In fact, that's why we're in school. Even though I may not like it, you have to grow up, get a job, whatever, right? So we have some examples of this sort of learning, but one of our best examples is known as IBM Watson. This program was able to take thousands of Wikipedia articles and break it down and learn the entire human language from scratch. In fact, it didn't just learn it, it mastered the language, because soon it was pitted against the top 2 players in Jeopardy! And Watson won with both their points combined in a game that we thought revolved around too much of human language, so a computer couldn't understand it. So if we have the ability to break down information and learn from it, then shouldn't I have a robot buddy right now? Someone that I can throw my arm around, because really, that's all that we really are as human beings. We learn. And as I talk to them, I could be speeding along the road as it drives me to work without me touching a thing. But we don't have that. In fact, we're nowhere near. Our best example is IBM Watson. And that's not really much of a friend that you can talk to, unless you're a little bit lonely. So, what is it that we're missing? What gives? Well, that's where we gotta think, what is it that truly makes us human beings?
Consciousness.
Now that may seem very difficult to answer, especially when approaching it from a philosophical view. However, the answer has been in front of us the entire time. We do it every single day. Everything from finding out what we want for dinner to solving the most complex math problems. The thing that makes us unique as human beings is the ability to ask questions. Don't believe me? Well, apes that have been shown sign language can speak the language fluently. They can communicate effectively with not just other apes, but with humans as well, to say things such as, I'm hungry, I want water, or I am sick. However, in all of our years of study, we have never once observed these apes to ask a question. Never saying why, or even pointing to an object for us to explain it. Now, this phenomenon is well documented, and has been accredited the fact that apes, or any other animal really, lack something known as metacognition. The ability to think of the process of thinking. Now that definitely sounds meta to me, but all that really means is that if I think of myself, I know I'm feeling excited and slightly nervous. And if I were to ask you how you were feeling, some of you might say bored, or others might be interested, but most likely you would just say, fine. Natural human response, right? And then if I were to ask you what the value of pi is, right? Some of you would know absolutely nothing, and others would know way further into the string of digits than even I know. And that's fine, because as a human being, I understand that I have my own mind. And that within this mind, I have my own feelings and my own sets of knowledge. But I also know that when I look at you, anyone out there, I know that you have your own mind as well. Something that thinks and can process information in a different way from me. And that's all metacognition really is. So, why does this matter? Why am I talking about this? Metacognition, all this other nonsense. Who cares? Well, actually, if we were to combine the abilities of metacognition and all these other fundamental concepts, then we could create a true artificial intelligence. Something that can think just like us. Such a program would have to be able to break down information and learn from it, much like Watson already does, except do this in a more general sense, finding any patterns it can. And after it finds these patterns, it comes up with a question. Something like, why does this pattern exist? And after forming this question, it demonstrates a form of curiosity, where it strives to answer it. If it can't quite reach an answer on its own, or with the information that it has, then it turns to external sources, such as human beings, and poses that very same question, or maybe even subsequent questions, so the program can figure it out itself. And that's all we'd need. In fact, a program like that would have no need for any language or anything built into it, because it would learn very similar to that of a human child. Because a child has no knowledge of anything when it is born. It doesn't understand any language or numbering system. And that's precisely why you can teach it any language, and the child can still grow up and be as successful as ever. Although, of course, a program may learn much more rapidly than what a human child is capable of, but that's still up for debate. So if we can truly combine all these aspects together, make them work in, say, harmony, then we can get a form of technological singularity, where the human aspect of consciousness communicates with the machine-like ability. And after doing this, they fuse together. And at that point, machine becomes more than just a tool. In fact, that time period when this singularity occurs is expected to happen in 2029. And when this happens, a new world will emerge. So whether or not you choose to believe in the utopian world of luxury, relaxation, and enjoyment, or the dystopian destruction of the human race, all life, everything you love, anything that you knew, doesn't matter. We're now in a day and age where our next biggest leap in technology would be to create a program capable of consciousness. Something that can truly think. And we will get there. There's no doubt about that. In fact, computer scientist Edgar W. Dijkstra once said, "The question of whether a computer can think is no more interesting than the question of whether a submarine can swim." The only way that we can try to stay alive when robots arrive is to stay as cautious as possible, learn as much as we can before it gets here. Because the only question left when it comes to artificial intelligence is when is it going to arrive? Thank you very much.
The field of artificial intelligence has been moving extremely quickly in the last few years. Do you know how AI will affect your life in the future? I have some ideas. I'm Jeff Dean. I'm a Google Senior Fellow at Google. That means a couple of things. First, it means I'm kind of old. Second, it means that I get to spend my time working on the ones that I think are the most important for the company. I'm working on artificial intelligence. I lead the Google Brain team, our artificial intelligence research team based in Mountain View, California. Our team does long-term research on how to make machines intelligent. And we then work with product teams at Google in order to make machine products that are intelligent. We want to use intelligence to augment the abilities of people, to enable us to accomplish more, to eliminate tedious, repetitive tasks, and to allow us to spend more time on our creative endeavors. AI is going to be more impactful than the invention of the personal computer and the spread of mobile phones into your pocket. So the idea of artificial intelligence is not new. It's been around since the very earliest days of computing. It's a grand project to build machines that are intelligent. And there's many ways of pursuing this. Captivated computer scientists ever since. The most promising approach, though, is the area of machine learning. Rather than trying to embody machines with everything they need to know up front, rather, we want to enable them to learn how to learn, so that they can learn from their observations of the world, and to make inferences based on those observations. The field of deep learning is a particular kind of machine learning that I'll be talking about. And it's been shown in the last 4 or 5 years to be remarkably effective for a wide variety of problems, although it's actually much older. Before we start, though, how do we learn? Why, we learn from examples of things and from repeated practice. And repeated practice and examples are really key to machine learning as well. So in machine learning, we're going to expose a system to examples of the behavior we want it to have. And those examples are going to teach it. It's going to learn from those examples how to do something. So in this very simple diagram, I have a model where we're going to try to teach a computer to tell whether a photograph contains a cat or a dog. And we're going to have examples where we know the right answer. So we have some that we say, that's a cat, that's a dog, that's a dog, that's a cat. And we're going to essentially show the computer an example and say, what do you think? And they're going to say, well, I think that's a dog. And there you go. If you get the right answer, you're done, right? Just like doing your homework problems, if you get it right, you don't have to do more. But if you get it wrong, we're going to make little adjustments to how we believe about what we believe about the world and what we believe about this example to make it more likely that the next time we see that example or one like it, we'll get the right answer, not the wrong one. Deep learning in particular has a particular way of doing this that is really important. So it builds these layers of abstraction automatically as part of the learning process, where the lowest level things are things like, does this part of the image contain a little splotch of brown? And then as you go up through the layers, the kinds of things that it learns get more complicated. Things like, is there an ear at this part of the picture? Or something that looks like a
guys, I'm about to wrap it up and go get me something to eat because I'm hungry.
Those features emerge automatically as part
I
of
said
the
I'm
learning
fucking
process,
hungry.
really critical.
So we've been listening to a lot of talks on AI. I'm always into shit like that. I haven't listened to anything in recent months about the advancements of AI. But that bulldog and that other bipedal robot from Boston Dynamics, I've been up on that shit. That bulldog they showed, that shit old as hell. So ain't no telling how much further along they came on that shit. Cause I seen that video like 6-7 years ago of that 4-legged robot. But I did not know Google bought them motherfuckers, yo. Google buying up all kind of fucking AI tech companies. Like, what the fuck, yo? Strange days, man. Strange days. And so now how they talking about all this different tech and shit, man. You can just imagine like 75 years from now with your grandkids. They already got fucking touchscreen, everything, Wi-Fi, everything. You know what I'm saying? Another 7,500 years from now, man, shit gonna be crazy. Have fucking fully autonomous AI androids walking around this motherfucker, serving you hamburgers and shit.
Features develop automatically in the learning process. So neural nets can learn much more than just how do you tell a cat from a dog. They can learn to distinguish thousands of different categories of objects, tens of thousands. This is an ostrich or a fire truck or a fireboat, things like that. They can learn from an audio stream.
Yeah, this piece is gonna be nice
to give you a transcript of the words that were said in that audio stream. How cold is it outside? They can take in an English sentence. Hello, how are you? And spit out the corresponding French sentence. Bonjour, comment allez-vous? Sorry for my French. They can take in the pixels of an image and give you more than just a category about it. They can actually write a sentence, a caption, if you will, about that picture. A blue and yellow train traveling down the train tracks. That shows a pretty high level of understanding of what's going on in that scene.
So I did
One of the
these
great
in the
things
past
about deep
couple
learning
days.
is that all of those things that I showed you can be expressed using a relatively simple set of algorithms and can be expressed in a common software framework. So we can build a software framework that enables us to express all these different learning problems and then use it over and over for our research and for our products. And so the system we built, it's called TensorFlow, and we use it internally for everything that we do in this area. And last year we decided we would open source it because we wanted people to have the ability to take this software, download it for free, and use it for their learning problems. It's been really great to see
This piece isn't done, yo. This is just the first layer of paint. This is the underpainting.
Cucumber farmer.
So I'll let this dry for a day or two. While this is drying, I'm gonna work on.
You have to sort them into all kinds of different
Matter
categories.
of fact, I might as well just go ahead and toss that up there now.
Medium ones, large ones, prickly ones, not prickly ones, straight ones.
Since this is,
curved ones.
I got this underpainting done.
It's pretty time consuming at harvest time. So the farmer was able to take a camera and using a computer vision model that he trained with TensorFlow, actually have the vision model determine what category of cucumber it was looking at, and then rigged it up to some conveyor belts and some little switches that would push the cucumber into the right box. And so this eliminated many days of labor that the farmer and his wife would have to do at harvest time. And that's just one tiny example of something you can do now that would be harder before. So as I said, neural nets are not new. They've actually been around since the 1980s and 1990s, and they showed really promising results on kind of small toy problems then. But they really couldn't show great results on realistic large problems at that time. And the reason is we just lacked enough computational power. The process of making these adjustments to the model in every example and processing every example many times in order to build this model of the world is very computationally intensive. And so we just needed faster computers. Fortunately, we have faster computers now. Computers have been dramatically improving in performance every year for the last 30 to 40 years. And we've reached this point where neural nets are actually practical on real problems. So the computer you have in your phone is now 100 to 1,000 times as powerful as the computers you had on your desktop 20 or 30 years ago. So that makes all the difference.
Yeah, so this is just the first layer right here.
So we now have enough computer
So this has been drying for a couple weeks now. I had other projects to work on. So since this is nice and dry, I'll go ahead and start applying the second layer of paint to that tomorrow evening after work. Go ahead and try to get this one knocked out. And I really need to get some more canvases started now because I only got 3 paintings I'm working on.
Which doesn't sound too good when you think that
I normally like to have like at least 5 or 6 projects going just so I know I'm keeping busy.
Just 5 years.
But if this is your first time in my stream, definitely subscribe to the channel, man.
We're actually better than humans on this task.
And hit the bell button so you get notifications when I turn the camera on. I'm in here a lot, yo.
Think about this.
So you can catch a lot of art going on. Make sure you keep up with the projects and see it progress through the different phases, and you know, from this early phase, and you can watch it grow all the way into a yo, Sniper. Yo, what's up, man? And you can watch it, you know, develop into a complete painting. And follow me on social media at Paintings by the Prince.
So here we have
my name is actually Prince,
of robots using deep learning,
and I make paintings, so you can definitely go to my social media sites and see all my art up there too, yeah.
Over its shoulder, I guess. I don't think it's one arm, but over its shoulder, and that model is going to take the pixel inputs from the camera and go directly to 6 torque motor commands for the different joints of the robot. And they're essentially just going to, through trial and error.
I'm about to get out of here. I am hungry.
So you see, they're just trying things, and they can tell if they succeeded or failed by whether their gripper closed.
I'm about to turn some of this shit off. Speaker is off. Shut down the laptop. What are you guys getting into this evening? It's only 7:30. Damn. I'm about to eat dinner. I gotta go to work in the morning. I got work for the next 4 days. Shit. But even, yo, 2K. What's up, bruh? I just about to get out the studio, man. I'm about to go downstairs and probably get on the game for a minute. Eat some dinner, game for a little minute, and take my ass to bed. Like I said, I got work in the morning. I got to work for the next 4 days, but even on my work days, yo, I work 12-hour shifts, yo. So I work from fucking 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But even when I get off work, I try to come in the studio for like an hour or something. If I don't go to the gym. Sometimes I go to the gym after work and just, I don't know. Have to, yo, alright, X out. But yeah, just, keep touch, man, cause goddamn, like I said, I'm gonna start working on this one tomorrow, probably. Once again, that is if I don't go to the gym, man. It'd be hard to go to the gym and come in here. I'd rather, I don't know. I went to the gym this morning, so I might skip a day tomorrow. Just come right home after work, get up in here, and go ahead and get started on this piece right here. I'm excited to get this one done, yo. I'm really feeling this. On that Titanfall 2, yeah, you did say you play that shit, man. Garcia, what's up, man? Alright, guys, yeah, I'm definitely about to get out of here. I might stream some Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is a real shooter, unlike Titanfall. I ain't gonna hate on nobody choice of video games though. You know what I'm saying? But if y'all want to see a real shooter game, y'all can come join me on that Tom Clancy. You know what I'm saying? His name is synonymous with military tactics. Yo, honestly, guys, I appreciate everybody coming through, checking me out, chilling with me. You know what I'm saying? Peeping all this beautiful art. You know what I like to say, man? Chase your dreams. Chase your own damn dreams. Because if you're not chasing your dreams, you're chasing and working towards somebody else's dreams. And that shit don't do you no good, man. So chase your own dreams. Work towards your own dreams. You are important, so you need to invest in yourself. If you got any talents, any kind of skills or anything, man, master your skills, master your talents, master your craft. And once you have your craft mastered, figure out a way to make some money on it. And then you live in a dream, you know what I'm saying? Getting paid to do something you actually enjoy doing. You know what I'm saying? But in order to do that, you gotta keep positive attitude and stay around positive people and put positive energy out in the universe. And that's how good things happen to you. Stay away from negative people and negative energy, because that shit is contagious. You don't believe me? Just try to make your little circle a little bit smaller. Knock some of these extra people out and see how much more you start to accomplish and how much more you start to achieve. You'll be around too many negative people, man. That shit draw your energy, draw your focus, and draw your attention from what's really important in life and your destination and your goals. You stay around like-minded people, goal-oriented people who have a path, you know what I'm saying, who always doing positive things. And that's how you get ahead, man. So never forget, chase your dreams, invest in yourself, turn your talent into a business, keep a positive attitude, and stay away from negative people. Peace. Until next time.